Hey there riders, Moto Journo Kris here this morning. It's a very chill winter's morning and I wanted to give you my ride impression of the NMax 155 because I've had a lot of fun riding this scooter in the last couple of weeks and it's got a lot to offer for someone looking for the right kind of stuff. Now, obviously this is kind of that smaller capacity scooter. It's a step up from the Delight, it's a step down from the X-Max 300. And that does offer some limitations, but at the same time, if you're looking for an urban runaround, I think the NMax 155 is probably going to be an ideal option. You're getting a nice bit of extra power over some of the 125cc options, which is very, very welcome for the general running around and also having someone on the back. Because obviously with scooters, it's all about the convenience factor, being able to commute easily, being able to have a bit of fun, being able to lock everything under the seat and really just walk away as though you're not even on a motorcycle. And definitely for many people, I think that kind of option has really a lot of the appeal to it. And I can understand why, because if you're commuting around the city or the suburbs, being able to do that is a huge boon and it's something that's a lot harder to do on a motorcycle. Now, of course, also on a small capacity machine like this, particularly here in New South Wales, the on-road costs each year are going to be extremely low, even compared to a motorcycle, which is another area that you're going to save money. But let's talk about the actual riding of this particular machine. I got to say, it's got a beautiful punchy 155cc single cylinder in it. It's derived from that found in the R15. It does have the variable valve actuation, but instead of giving it a top end like they have on the R15, they've actually given it a really meaty low end. It takes off nicely off the line. You're not going to be winning any drag races with someone in a, more of a performance orientated car or motorcycle, but it'll take off very, very nicely all the same, and it will get you in front of traffic, which is the main thing. So generally speaking, if you're on the ball and you take off, you're getting nice smooth acceleration. It's got that nice meaty low end, which immediately takes off. It's not too aggressive. I felt like a couple of years ago when I rode the previous NMax, or I think it really actually was probably the same model, I felt like the throttle was a little bit sharp on takeoff. However, with this, I've just found the fueling pretty much perfect. It's smooth, it's grunty, it's got good acceleration throughout the rev range. Up at 90 or 100, it does get quite flat, and that's pretty much the limit, I would say, which of course with those 13-inch wheels is going to be a factor as well. So as far as the engine, very, very nicely done. Great fuel economy. It's only got a 6.6 litre tank, but you're going to get plenty of mileage with that tank, and you're going to be having a lot of fun between fill-ups. Now on the handling side of things, obviously this is a smaller scooter, but at the same time they've given it that nice, longer, reasonably low feel. It is not like that kind of Vespa style scooter. It's much more of a very kind of futuristic style scooter like the X-Max 300. That's something that I really like. I prefer the sportier looking scooters, and that does carry through to the handling. Unlike with some of the scooters where you can get both feet together in the footwell, this does not have that kind of design. It's got a raised center area. You've got 2 feet positions, which means you can get into quite a sporty position on the scooter, which, because you've got a bit of performance there, is definitely something that's cool to see. The overall handling is very, very nimble. It's only got 13-inch wheels on it. It's got some Dunlop tires on it as well. The Dunlop tires in the dry are very, very good. On a morning like this morning where all the roads are wet because it was raining overnight, I did not have that much confidence in those tires. Not because they were slipping around, but just because I wasn't getting much feel from them. And even when they warmed up, that didn't really change. Now, generally speaking, I don't find that to be an issue because I've commuted a lot on scooters. So I'm not sure whether it's just the smaller wheels or whether it's those tires which are giving me that feeling. I'm leaning towards the tires in the wet because I haven't been that impressed with them on the wet roads that we've been having, and it is very, very chilly at the moment. But back to the handling, very nice nimble handling. Obviously with those bars, you're getting lots of input. A little bit of input on the bars goes a long way, but just moving your weight around, shifting your weight around on the scooter as well is ideal for basically getting the bike moving, and you can have it moving very, very easily. You can correct lines, you can get it to turn on a dime. It's just a very easy, nimble thing to ride, and you'll certainly, if anything, be finding that probably the handling's on the faster side rather than the slower side. Again, 13-inch wheels, because you're not going on the highway, I think that's an ideal wheel choice. If you're doing more highway riding, like you do on the X-Max 300, for instance, because that's the reason to move up, then I think 15-inch wheels is a good option, but for this particular size, I think this is pretty much ideal. As far as brakes, you've actually got disc brakes front and rear. They're both a 230mm rotor, so they're not an enormous rotor, but keeping in mind these are smaller wheels, and it's only 127 kilos, so these bring the bike up to a very rapid halt. Not overpowering, but they're a really nice braking system for the scooter. I'm only 70 kilos, maybe 80 kilos with all my gear and my camera gear, so that is something to keep in mind. But I find that the braking system on this works really well, and the fact that it's backed up by ABS, I would say, is a great boon as well. Even in these slippery conditions, I haven't been having any issues with those tires. There's been no slippage, there's been no slip on braking, so it's not like I'm saying that these tires don't grip. It was just the feel that was a bit of an issue. But having the ABS is definitely a boon, because the roads get very slippery in those commuting conditions of a day, which is the kind of thing this bike's probably going to be used for. And that is going to be a nice little bit of peace in mind, particularly for new riders. Now, I've gone into a lot more detail about the general features of this scooter. You're getting a little bit of wind protection on the front. It doesn't offer all that much. You're getting a single dash. I'll put a picture of that up. Very simple switch blocks, very simple radial master cylinders, but they do the job. Simple mirrors, they're a little bit sportier. They've got a sharper look to them. You can get good vision behind you, probably if you're not too much wider than me. As far as those bars, I do find that it has my hands a little bit wider than my shoulders, but a very easy seating position. And it's a comfortable seat. Of course, one of the big things on a scooter is the storage. This has got enough room for a full face helmet under that seat, which is ideal. You can probably fit a light jacket in there as well, which is what I said in my other video. So it's a good all-round option for someone looking to jump on a scooter, put everything in the bike when they walk away, and make it easy. If you were to add a top box, which I'm sure is possible, you'll be able to expand that storage further, which might be a good option if you're going two up a lot, or if you want to secure something on the back of the bike, which might be a little bit too bulky to fit under the seat. Another thing that, of course, that I do need to mention is the suspension on this system. The front forks, telescopic forks, basic system, quite a small fork. They do the job. On the rear, you're getting these dual shocks. There's not a heap of travel. I think you're getting 90 mils on the front and 100 on the rear, or vice versa, and you've only got 35 millimeters of ground clearance. So the suspension itself is quite basic, and the one thing I will say is that it's all right on the sporty kind of conditions, and once you're moving and there's not too many sharp bumps in the road, it does the job. It's quite comfortable. However, it really does suffer on the rear when it comes to those sharper jolts or speed bumps or bigger bumps or potholes or anything like that that you can't avoid, because the rear is very, very harsh, and I did find that it was bumping me out of the seat. Now, I think with someone on the back, that would probably put enough weight on the back to really get those shocks moving a bit through the stroke a little bit more. However, as it stands, I find it very harsh for me over the speed bump kind of conditions and the harsher potholes, which is a little bit surprising, but also I enjoy the sporty factor of it. It's just when I am going over those bumps, which on some of our roads, the roads look nice and smooth, but in reality, when it actually comes to going over a lot of the sections, and there's kind of, you know, quite difficult to see on the road, but they're those like harsher divots, you will feel them on something like this NMax 155 scooter. As far as other features, you do have a locking plate ignition, which helps make it a little bit more secure. The fuel cap is just down here in between your legs, so that is just unlocked with the key. You do need to pull the key out of the ignition. The seat is released by the ignition, and you've got a small little bit of storage here beside the ignition, which you can just kind of chuck something down in there. And if you need it while you're riding, maybe like a toll or some change or something to pay a toll, that will do the trick. So overall impressions, for 5,250, I think this is a really good value option. I would say for me, someone who's a bit more motorcycle orientated than scooter orientated, I think the R15 version 3 would be competing with this particular machine, because I like the idea of the motorcycle version. However, the convenience factor of this little machine is really, really high. The inbuilt storage is huge. Being able to leave everything on the scooter is huge. The price increase over the R15, which is about $450, A big bit of that is going to be the ABS, and then of course you've got a lot more bodywork here, which is something to keep in mind. And the finish quality on this scooter is really, really superb. The one thing I will mention is I have just been hitting that little bit of plastic there with my boots, which I've been wearing motorcycle boots, so maybe in a regular shoe, that might not be such an issue, but I have seen a little bit of wear there. But the overall build quality of the scooter is really exceptional. I would even say it's quite a significant step up from something like the Delight, which is obviously a lot cheaper, and much more in the realms of the X-Max 300, which is a much more premium scooter, and obviously a scooter aimed at kind of, you know, almost a little bit of touring style stuff. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a small capacity scooter, super cheap, really good performance for the capacity, because some of the 125s are a bit gutless, I would definitely check out the NMax 155. It's probably a little bit more impressive than you'd expect. It's got a beautiful build quality, really cool styling, good amount of storage, but not extreme, but everything's really done well, and you know, it's a typical Yamaha. It's a really cool, fun machine, and it more than does what you'd expect. So if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to sub, hit that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Would you go an NMax 155, or might you think about an R15, or would you be looking at something like a Delight or moving up to the X-Max 300? Let me know your thoughts. As always, stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.